going on, everybody? Smiley with Parallel Defense here with renowned self-defense instructor Rob Pincus. How are you?
I am glad to be here, my man. I
Thank you.
appreciate you taking the time to look at the PD10, and here at the Gideon Optics booth is a great place to do it. They've been great collaborators, and I'm really excited about this pistol being here at SHOT Show, man. So
So
let me talk to
please,
you.
yeah, walk us through it. This is Rob Pincus's PD10. It is a 9mm and also comes in 30 super
30
carry.
super carry as of
Yep.
this week.
So super excited to see that come up, but kind of walk us through here.
Sure. Yeah. So the idea here is that it's a mid-sized gun with a standard kind of full-size grip front to back. But here's the magic: crazy thin, right? So it's actually thinner than like a Glock 48, thinner than all the stagger stack guns. What I think is its main feature for me, informed by decades standing on the range, watching people shoot, watching people hold all kinds of guns, people at all kinds of skill levels, all kinds of hand shapes and sizes, is that the ergonomics of this very thin grip, very sculpted up here by the trigger and by the controls, but also not tiny grip, fits a lot of hands. So it doesn't get lost in a big hand. It doesn't make it unusable for a small hand, and it just seems to be the right balance to reach the most people.
Exactly.
And then make it a carry gun, right? So all the features you would want on a carry gun, a modern striker-fired gun, no external manually operated safeties. The tab safety obviously is there as you're pulling the trigger. That's going to be there no matter what. Really aggressive serrations. We teach overhand rack manipulations for everything. Obviously set up for a red dot. The Gideon fits it incredibly well. It's a 407-507K RMSC shield footprint, right? One of the nice things that I think we did here for everybody is we put real sights on the gun. So it's not like a plastic sights, not sights you're gonna want to get rid of. It is SIG cuts. So if you wanted to replace it, it's commonly available. Anything that'll fit a SIG fits these dovetails. But our sights from Ameriglow, which are tritium, and it's the bright square inside of a clear, blacked out rear notch, big wide notch.
Okay. They
will work with red dots. So you don't have to get suppressor height.
So you can co-witness with just traditional sights.
Exactly. And obviously the whole thing sits really low in the hand. It is incredibly concealable because of the thinness. And again, it's 0.9 inches at the slide. A lot of the frame is 0.8 or 0.9. The widest point on the gun is out at the end of the slide stop, and that's 1 inch exactly.
Okay.
So it really is thin, especially for a mid-sized gun.
Yeah. So I noticed I carry a 365 macro, but it fits very, very well and very similar to it, because that was the issue that most people were having with the micro compact and the slimline guns, where they would either have too much of a drop off or they wouldn't be wide enough where you need them to, right? So they'll expand on the width, but not kind of on the front and back part of the grip, which I noticed here, that fits really well. You don't feel like you're having to kind of overly have too much pressure on the gun on your firing hand, so it just sits there nice. The thinness of the frame itself is going to be crazy when it's time to carry. You won't have people printing as much. And then talk to me about the magazine a little bit, because it's not a double stack and it's not like a 1.5 stack.
No, it's a true single stack. And a lot of people say, well, Rob, you designed this gun 10 years ago, 9 years ago, we announced what the specs were. And, well, the market's moved on from there. Well, I was also cutting down Glock 17s to hold Glock 19 mags and Glock 19s to hold Glock 26 mags. So I've been happy with 10+1 for a long time. I don't make any apologies for 10+1. I think that's a good place to be. Now, if you want a little bit more in this same kind of package, if you love the ergonomics, you love the PD10, but you want 12+1, you can go to the 30 Super Carry, obviously, and get that. But I'm happy with 10+1. Keeping the gun really thin was a key design point. The gun is not, for example, we couldn't chamber this at this width in 40 Smith & Wesson.
Yeah.
So we don't, a lot of guns that we have had for the last 20 years have been capable of being in 40 or 9, right? So the last 20 years, 30 years. So a lot of those guns are just wider than they need to be for 9mm in the first place. Now, when it comes to putting more rounds in the gun, I get the intellectual desire, right? And the emotion to, I want more rounds. But the reality is, if you look at, and this is what I do primarily, right? I teach people about personal defense. If you look at the evidence, there's very little supporting evidence for the idea that we need more than really 8, 9, 10 rounds. Anywhere in there, you're going to be okay 99% of the time. And in fact, I would say 100% of the empirical evidence. Now, we always train for a worst case scenario. There's obviously the potential that you could need more. But if we're talking about worst case scenario and potential, you're also probably better off having a spare magazine.
Exactly.
You have to clear a malfunction or do something in the middle of this really worst case scenario fight. You're probably better off with 2 10-round mags than you are 1 20-round mag and potentially something going wrong inside of it. So I get it. The market right now is stagger stacks, but as you pointed out, a lot of those tiny little guns that hold 12 or 13+1, they've gotten bigger. Why have they gotten bigger? Because little guns aren't easy to shoot.
Not even a little bit.
This gun balances out shootability, carryability, concealability, I think, as best we can. So
I'm excited to actually get to that part because that's the biggest issues. I went from Glock 43 because again, right? People won't talk about the inherent like just uncomfort with carrying, right? We always want to carry, but then you carry these larger guns. So as the guns started getting thinner, it's nice, but like you pointed out, they start getting harder to shoot, and a lot of the community will be like, well, just shoot better. Well, in the worst situation, you don't want to have to think of the just shoot better. I want a better gun. Give me, with the technology nowadays, you can push that. So I'm really excited to see about that. 30 super carry. So that came out what, 2 years ago, like kind of blown up. Talking about that a little bit. So what was the thought process? Because you said it holds 12 instead of the 10.
Yeah, it'll be 12 because it's a narrow diameter, right? So it's actually a 32 caliber bullet. But it's obviously not 38 caliber, which is where you are with 9mm. So that diameter is what allows more rounds to fit in the same size package. Now I will tell you, for me, that's like like the third thing, right? Why 30 super carry? Well, there's a really good reason for why 30 super carry. It performs incredibly well. All the testing, all the data, all the ballistic charts, it's going to at least perform as well as 9mm, if not outperform 9mm. And what you've got is it's a very fast round. It's a high pressure round. It's moving very fast. It's a 100 to 115 grain. Whereas with 9mm, we now think of 115 as a lightweight bullet, right? So it's like 124, 147. So you've got a lighter bullet. You've got less impulse from the lighter bullet when you're shooting it. So theoretically, you can shoot a little bit faster, especially in the PD10, which is a really low gun and gets a lot of weight out in front of the hand. You get those follow-up shots faster. And the round, like I said, really performs well. So when people can go to Personal Defense Network and look at the gel tests we did when we compared one of my favorite 124 plus E 9mm rounds of all time, a round that I've carried and recommended a lot, just the basic level hollow point of Remington HTP in 30 Super Carry outperformed it in ballistic gelatin pretty consistently. So I think that's important to know, is the number one reason for why 30 Super Carry is it's a very valid round in terms of terminal performance, and a lot of people are going to be able to shoot it potentially faster than they could shoot the 9mm. Then you get to the idea that the Remington, Spear, Federal, CCI, Blazer, all those, American Eagle, all those brands, they're trying to launch something that nobody asked for. Right? They're trying to push something into the market that is like, this is incrementally better. There's an argument to be made here, but everybody's so complacent with 9mm. Well, look at what I'm facing with the PD10, right? I arguably think this is a great carry gun for the overwhelming majority of people who actually carry and actually shoot. We talk about shootability.
And that's I think that's the biggest, another issue with the community is we talk about worst case scenarios. Everybody points that picture, but in the situation, a self-defense, we're not military, we're not law enforcement, you're pulling the weapon out for the worst case scenario. I typically shouldn't need more than 10 shots. I'm going to use enough to either eliminate a threat that's a direct threat, or I'm going to get away. So why have that?
Supposed to be hunting, all that stuff.
Exactly.
So the extra capacity, like I said, is the third thing with 30 Super Carry, because that ethos is the second thing for me. It's the idea that we're trying to bring a gun to market that if people are educated about it and they get their hands on it and they try it, they're like, oh, this makes sense, even though it's not what's sort of on trend. And I think 30 Super Carry is doing the same thing. And both of them make a lot of sense for people, so it only makes sense to get them together. And then the third reason is, sure, I'm not going to, if somebody's out there like, I'd buy a PD10, but I need it to hold more than 10 rounds. Cool, now you have the option. I'm not going to tell you not to. But I think that's definitely a distant third reason to choose 30 Super Carry. It's a round that stands on its own, and it's a round that I think deserves more attention from the community than it's getting.
Yeah, we'll definitely look into that too, to kind of expand on that and kind of educate people on that. Last thing before we go, holster compatibility. So the PD10 right now, I'm starting to see an increase in people speaking about it. I'm sure this will bring a lot of people to it. Where can people get holsters if they're like, hey, I love it, I want to grab one?
So we have a lot of holster support. It was one of the things that was really important to me this year at the show, last year at this show, when we released the gun and announced it. You could already go to 3 major company websites and order multiple versions of their holsters for the PD10, and that's only obviously expanded over the year. So G-Code makes 3 designs starting at $30 with their Paradigm, going up to, you can go up to $150 if you spend for all the accessories on the Phenom. They also make the Synchron. Crossbreed Holsters has 3 or 4 models available. JM4 Tactical, which is a beautiful leather-wrapped Kydex holster out of Texas. They make 3 models. CYA Supply, I just found out, they're actually here at the show. They just announced this week they're making 4 models.
Oh, wow.
Including a really nice appendix carry one called the Pack. That's height adjustable, because that's one of the things that's missing. We also have Cold War Concealment. We have, I know I'm forgetting one big tack rig. Tack rig's another one. They're just down the hall here.
I think I've seen them.
Tack rig's a really nice modular hybrid holster as well. That instead of using leather with Kydex, they use a plastic rubber, really flexible, really comfortable base layer with a Kydex shell that's front and back.
Nice.
And that's a modular piece that can go to hard points and other things.
Oh,
so
wow. So it would work like the Neo Mag.
My head. Houdini holsters also. There's a whole bunch of them out there.
Beautiful.
What we do is if you go to avidityarms.com, go to our shop, and you can see all those holsters are going to be listed from the major brands. And rather than sell the holsters, we just give you a direct link. It goes right back to their website. You can order the holster from them because in many cases, holsters are really personal. You want to customize it. And we're not going to try to guess, what size Mo claw you want, for example, on your G code. Like go to their website and figure it out. But we have a lot of holster support because what's the point of launching a carry gun without that?
Without being able to carry. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Rob, I appreciate it. Guys, definitely check out Avidity Arms. We will be looking into the PD10 in the future so we can bring some more content.
Awesome.
I appreciate
Thank you,
you,
Smiley.
Thank you.